Hi, I'm Paul Marcel. Today I wanted to review the SensGard hearing protection because I'm really liking these things a lot after I tried a number of different things that didn't work for me. So I wanted to review these now for quite a while and didn't really have a good way of showing you or letting you hear what the differences are with the two different units. And of course, without hearing protection, I tend to not be able to do the the little things that you squeeze and push them into your ear to block sound. Those really drive me nuts. And things like earbud headphones, I can't wear those, so I don't know, I'm overly picky about what gets rammed into my ear. So what I was thinking is I can take this microphone, it's a new microphone that I've been just using recently on reviews, and I could tuck it into the hearing protection, and then you could hear the differences when I'm using things like music versus a dust collector. Now the design of these things is kind of really, it's almost like it's too easy. Why didn't somebody else think of it? But hey, whoever thought of it, good work. What it is it's a resonant chamber that runs up the sides coming off of your ears. Now the sound's going to just come in and basically the waves impact the side of this headphone and it's going to generate the sound inside the tube. Now it's going to generate it both here that goes into your ear, but it's also going to generate it up into this resonant chamber that's up on the side. Now most of the sound is going to go up into this resonant chamber because there's less resistance for it to go that direction. But it is a resonant chamber. Now the shape of this tube is such that it's going to try canceling loud sounds. So mid-range sounds and low sounds like the grumbling and the rumbling of a dust collector or the table saw and such, those are going to be muted stronger than other sound frequencies just because of the design of this resonant chamber. And it does it all without batteries, which is just fantastic. And it also makes it really light. While it could look a little heavy because of its size, this is a hollow tube. Now the two different models that you see here, this one here has a 26 dB attenuation and this one here has a 31 dB attenuation. So the reason I have two of them is generally I like to wear this one. It's a little lighter and also I get to hear more. So when I'm doing just some simple things in the shop, some sanding, some jigsaw work, stuff like that, this pair is just perfect for me. When I'm doing stuff with the jointer planer, or if I'm really running the DC for a long time or doing some handheld routing for a long period of time, I prefer to have these because they'll block out a lot more of the noise. Now the thing I like about this versus say the earplugs that you roll up and jam into your ear to block all sounds, or the ones that some people use, the ones for shooting, those block out all noise. And it's really kind of, I don't know, I don't like that you can't hear anything, because certainly there's going to be sounds around you that gives you cues of things that are going on, things that are going wrong, and you want to be able to hear that. And it just generally makes it nicer if you can hear things. But what you really want is you want to get rid of the really loud sounds. And that's what I really like about these, is that normally in the shop I'll be wearing these and I have the music on, and I don't have to crank it up. It's the same volume I use when I don't have these on, and I can clearly hear the songs without any problem. Sure, it's not quite the same fidelity as with these off, but I mean I can perfectly follow along. Oftentimes with my garage door open, my neighbor will come over and he starts talking to me, and it drives him nuts when I'm wearing these because I'll be sitting there having a conversation with him, not even paying attention to the fact that I have hearing protection on. So he always accuses me of being really good at lip reading. But then when I kick on the tools, it does do a lot of attenuation. That's when it really works. So since they're kind of so passive that you don't really realize how much attenuation it's doing when you have the stronger sounds, a lot of times at first when I got them, I would go, oh, I'm just going to make a couple cuts here. I already had my eye protection on, so I wouldn't bother reaching for the hearing protection. And I'd go to make the cut, and I was always surprised at how loud the table saw and the dust collector is when I don't have these on. So now basically as a rule I never bother to take them off when I'm in the shop. So enough of me babbling. I was going to actually try singing a song with these on just to show you how well it works, but I thought that's just going to send all of you away. Good reason. So instead what I'm going to do is I have one of the songs that you hear all the time on my podcast queued up. I'm going to hold the microphone here for it to play through one time, and then I'm going to do it again, and it turns out that the microphone tucks into this channel just perfectly. Now it's not going to be the same thing as your hearing canal, but it'll simulate it pretty closely. So then I'm going to play it again with it tucked away inside the 26s, and then a third time in the 31s. Now when I go to do the editing of this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut those three together so that the song plays through, and you're going to see these being swapped in basically during the course of the video, and you should be able to hear the differences. So I've monkeyed around with the audio settings on here, so there's not going to be any gain control or anything like that. So we're not going to be getting any attenuation from the camera. It's going to be purely what the microphone is sending in. Then after we do the music, then we're going to do the whole thing over again using these three with just plain and then with the hearing protection on, but running the DC. Now it turns out this DC is a new DC that I have. Its maximum noise is 74 dB. in operation. So it tends to be quieter than certainly the previous one I had. The previous one was more of a banshee, but it's still going to give you a good idea of what the sound levels are when something is groaning away like a regular dust collector, where it's a little bit more of the low sounds. All right, well, enough of my speaking. Let's get to the test. All right, here we go. So now what I'd like to do is, instead of the music, I'm going to run the dust collector in the back. Now there's not a lot of chunks going through it. It's not vacuuming up a lot, so it's going to be a little quieter than normal. Plus this unit is a little quieter, but it should give you a good idea of what the noise level is going to be. So I'm going to move a little closer to the dust collector where I'd normally be when I'm at the table saw. Okay, first up, we're going to do it without any hearing protection for the microphone. So I snuck off to check the video to make sure you could hear the differences on this. I think it's kind of clear. One of the things that you might want to focus on if you were to listen to the demos again is how muted the kind of droning sound of a dust collector became, while you could actually hear the music just fine. Okay, with the 31s, it was a lot more muted than with the 26s, but with the 26s, you were probably thinking those things don't work very well because it didn't seem to attenuate the music that much. But with this, it worked great. So they're pretty inexpensive. I know I got these when they first started carrying them at Woodcraft for about $15 on a sort of an early sale, but they're not that much more even regularly priced. I'd highly recommend getting both. So you got the 26 and the 31s. When I do the routing, this is definitely the one I like. You can actually do routing comfortably where you're not getting completely blitzed with this noise. But at the same time, you can hear enough when you turn off the router, you can still hear enough that you don't really feel a need to take the hearing protection off.